Okay, folks, happy Saturday. We made it. All right. Everything is just how we left it. Hopefully, I didn't dull this X-Acto knife too much. Not switching the blades to cut the wood. Well, we'll see. We're working on the little trim pieces here, trimming off the desert rats. I wish they made an X-Acto knife that when you put the blade in, the pressure that you're putting on your fingers doesn't end up like unwinding it, because it seems like no matter all the ones that I have, and I have several of these. Actually, this is the only one that I have that is an actual X-Acto. The other ones are Pro Edges, which are knockoffs from way back when. I mean, I haven't bought one of these things in shit almost 30 years. So they always seem to loosen up on you. Not to the point where I'm going to cut myself or something like that. But who do we have here? Who do we have here? I can't see. Jules. Okay. I wasn't expecting a quiz this early. Julesov. Sorry, I don't want to say people's names wrong, but good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. We're just cleaning up some figures that are, heck, I got these as a child in the 1980s, and we're gonna make them look something special. I put some Africa Corps guys together. We'll have some Italians do the same thing, but I'm gonna put these British, and then we're gonna paint. Hopefully, we can get to finish painting one of them this morning. And I did paint a tank commander, and that kind of gave me an idea of what base color I wanted to use. Obviously, I'm doing a layering technique, so we're going to be modifying that so much. But these figures, you kind of give them a second look, like, they're old figures, they don't paint so well. Well, they actually do. This is kind of a pain in the butt, doing this process of having to slice off the flash. You can't just scrape it off. Like I was mentioning yesterday, I really like to scrape it off and like look through a microscope and find out what's going on there, because it gets fuzzy. It gets almost frayed. But imagine microscopes are pretty expensive. That's probably a silly thing to spend money on, just to look at the frayed figures. I got enough of a microscope going on here. I take my contacts out, so I got a built-in +6. I had a little head thing that somebody gave me a couple of years ago, and I've never used it. Like one of those jeweler's things. I found it in the garage, and the little magnifiers, which are, I guess the little vision things, are about this big. I guess they're about +3, which is like not good enough anymore. But they've got like a monocle that's like more than +6. I don't know. It must be like +10, but the field of view on it is so small. It's got to be like for a jeweler working on one little jewel and not moving. Like he's got to put like his head in a head brace so that it doesn't move, while he's doing something. It's very, very limiting. But anyways, we're just kind of plugging along here. We got one NCO that's got a Thompson machine gun, submachine gun. Just trying to do a good job with this, because we're going to spend Well, I don't know how long it's going to take to paint this guy. Maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. We don't want to do a good job and go, you know, if I would have just taken off that little bit of flash. Well, I actually had a pretty good response to that last video I dropped yesterday or the day before yesterday on the unboxing on that 88. I thought people weren't really enjoying unboxing videos, so I wasn't doing very many of them. Maybe I should do a couple more. I don't mind doing them. It was actually kind of one of my shorter unboxing videos. I didn't mean it to be short. There just wasn't a lot to say. And I don't understand the, oh, you need to make videos shorter. Like, there is a fast forward button. You know, I mean, it's... I've had some people say, oh, your videos are too long. Use the fast forward button. Or my favorite one, make your own videos. Find out how much of a pain in the butt it is. Sometimes. Not all the time, sometimes. That's why I do this live stuff. It's no pain in the butt for me. I got to do this anyways. I'll bring you guys along. Just jump in the back seat. Yeah, I'd already be done with this. If you could, all I had to do was scrape this. But you can't, unfortunately. Well, these at least are decent length shorts. It's not like if you're doing those Rhodesians with them little short shorts. Questionably short shorts. Okay? That Tommy's done. One of my favorite poses is this guy with the binoculars. And unfortunately, I just have one of them. I have only one of them that survived. Who knows where they got lost along the way. I don't know if they still make these guys or not. They may not. But I have no white metal Africa Corps or Italians or Eighth Army. So just instead of dismissing these guys, I'm like, let's see if we could do something with them. I don't want to botch this up. I only got one of these guys. I'm missing the German officer. Who else am I missing? I don't remember how many Germans actually came with a machine pistol. I know there was one, just kind of standing. I have one of them. He's no good. It's broken at the ankles. He had the wrong machine pistol anyways. then we're going to have to take the tweezers and pull some of this roughage out. This is a great figure. Honestly, these figures would be better if there was like a more variety of footwear. If you look at most photographs for, like, for instance, the Africa Corps, for instance, they have like all these Africa Corps guys that they're wearing shorts, have their socks pulled up to their belly button. And if you look at pictures, a lot of them they'll either be relaxed or they'll have the taller lace-up boots. You know, you don't really see very much of that, but you know, it is what it is. They should paint up fine. The sculpting on them is pretty good. I always like this guy with the potato masher. He's got 2 more in his belt. So he's ready to hand out party favors. Another piece of plastic lettuce we need to get rid of here. I don't know if I'm going to get to the end of this before I start painting, because, you know, after a while, I'm not saying you get carpal tunnel, but you just kind of get kind of antsy doing this. But we've got our guy already primed. Our guy that's at the run, ready to stab somebody. Hey Jeffrey, am I going to paint up the Revell Matchbox Piper? Well, I need one. I need one. I don't have them. And Eshe makes one too. So, I'd like to have one for Northwest Europe in particular. But yes, I'm dying to. I was mentioning that the other day. I don't want to make that guy on D-Day, whatever his name is. Because he was with the Commandos or something like that. But I don't own them. I don't own that set. I honestly didn't think much of these plastic figures until I bought the Russian tank crew. You know, the dismounted tank guys, and painted them, and like, these guys have really good detail. You know, just kind of discounted these guys as just being too bendy and stuff. And just never really gave much thought into painting plastic figures, even though I've had these since you were a young lad. 81, 82. You could actually get these figures in a mall. There was a hobby store. There's 2 hobby stores in a mall. They're hobby stores, I guess toy stores, but they had models in them. And a lot of them. KB Toys was one of them, and there was another one that was called something else. And they carried NPC stuff. You know what? Let's glue these 2 chaps down, and then let's paint this British desert rat. Eighth Army dude. So here's kind of the dilemma I have. Not really a dilemma. And I haven't looked into it yet. But there's a couple of things about the Desert War growing up. I'm going to fuck this one up, aren't I? Okay. The X-Acto brand one, which there's only one of, that's the one we'll use for the figures. Let's take this extra glue off. So the desert war stuff, it gets really confusing for a couple things. And I haven't looked into it yet, but I've got the books to look into it. I just haven't had the chance. I haven't put the time into doing it. But you know, you've got tank brigades that have tank regiments in them. Actually, they're both brigades. But there's independent infantry tank brigades that are made up of regiments, usually 3, I think. And you've got armored brigades that 2, sometimes 3 are in an armored division, whether it's the 7th or the 1st, or at least in North Africa, the 2nd. I guess they technically have, 2 brigades, 3 if they're over strength. So if you take something like the 7th Armored would have, and I know it varied in and out all the time, you'd have the 4th Armored Brigade, you'd have the 7th Armored Brigade in the 7th Armored Division, and then the 22nd. I want to say that's the 3 that were in Crusader. And the 4th, and then you've got the 7th Armored Division as over all of them. Well, the 7th Armored Division early on had just the symbol that did not have the jerboa in it. It was just so you're looking for something for Operation Compass. You've got a red square with a white circle in it. And eventually somebody said, it'd be cute if they put a little desert rat in there. So they put a little desert rat in there. But the other armored brigades also have symbols. So like, for instance, you've got the 22nd, I think, is like a deer, right? With antlers or something like that. Red and white. And like the 4th Armored Brigade has a jerboa on it as well. And so does the 7th. So what I don't know is, if you have a vehicle that is in one of those units, sometimes it has the 7th Armored Division. So it never has both. It never has the 4th Armored Brigade symbol and the 7th Armored Brigade symbol. Like, at what point does it have the 7th Armored Brigade one, or the 7th Armored Division, or the 4th Armored Brigade? I haven't looked into that. So, I suspect the way I'll probably do it is that if it is a vehicle that is not a part of the 4th or 7th or 22nd Armored Brigade, in other words, it's a 7th Armored Division vehicle, but it's not one of those within the brigade, I would use the 7th Armored Division symbol. If it's part of one of those brigades, I'd use the brigade symbol. I think that's the way I would probably do it, because the Armored Brigade symbols look just as cool as the 7th Armored Division, But I haven't looked into that enough. And it gets really confusing. Like, in the beginning of Operation Compass, the 7th Royal Tank Regiment, one of the battalions that's in the 7th Armored Division, was equipped with Matildas. So there's like infantry tanks inside of an armored division, which is not really, but I think they just did that. That wasn't really the plan. They just kind of did that to expedite getting them out there, But it's getting through all those. I don't want to like do it and come up unhappy with how it came up. You actually have some Hanshar and Royal Marines metal combat miniatures in your sable somewhere. Do you need a stable for your sable? Stash. I can never remember what it stands for. I know what it is. It's stuff that's going to outlast you. Stuff that's just going to outlast you. Well, in one of these Facebook groups that post pictures, there's this ones of people's work areas, and I haven't contributed to it yet because I have a little too much chaos. Actually, it's pretty picked up, but I'd like for it to be more picked up. Actually, it's too chaotic for me, but it's not too bad by some of your guys' standards. But anyways, so you see this area where people have like stacks of models. They're basically like They were, what do you call those people? The preppers. They look like a prepper's cave, but it's full of models. And these guys will have like, not necessarily cars, but let's say you're into jet planes and you have a model of a Tamiya F-18. I don't even know if they make an F-18. I'm sure they do. And he's got like 4 or 5 copies of the same fucking model. Like, okay, like build one, dude. Like, and they just keep buying stuff. I just, now it's better than doing drugs. It's also probably cheaper than doing drugs, but I was never one of those people. Yeah, I would buy something and like maybe not finish it and then go buy something else and not finish that either. And, but I never like, okay, let me get 4 of this. And, I'm like, trying to get this super glue off so I can reuse this penny. That's That should be good enough. And then we're going to put this lad that, we need to cut this down a little bit. Boy, you use the Tamiya cutters on this soft plastic. It's like literally a knife through butter. Hot knife through butter. Okay. This guy's got the Thompson. I love this figure. This Forward Observer. The faux chap. So I didn't see if you responded to that. You made a comment on the 25 pounder and 88 millimeter. That's what I had heard. So I looked it up and I go, man, did I get this wrong all the time? Because I don't like putting out information to people that is wrong. I mean, I make mistakes all the time, but they're unintentional. And the first thing I looked it up, and it may not be correct, was that it was 87.6 millimeter, the 25 pounder. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just what I just remember it being because of the irony. The irony of the 25 pounder is like the same caliber as the same width as an 88 millimeter. Obviously, the barrel length is different, and muzzle velocity and so forth, but this guy is asking to be on a 2-pounder crew for sure. Although you don't need binoculars at 200 meters, but okay. So we're gonna set these guys off to the side. Let's look at this desert rat and figure out how I want to paint them. Now that tent crew, what I actually ended up using as the darkest color was British uniform. Let's get rid of this wood. Yeah, because we need a small crew for this carrier, right? At least, 4 guys? Right? You got a driver, a guy on the bren, 2 guys in the back. So I'm going to do a couple things. First of all, I'm going to get rid of this. We're going to put some fresh waters. This is the one I used to mix with. I'll be right back. Yeah, I don't want to spend a lot of time working on something and then to find out that I made certain decisions to make things a certain way, and I botched that up. And I've done that a few times, unfortunately. And when I make mistakes like that, I'm thinking, if I'm making these mistakes, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but man, there's some stuff I think is kind of important to get right. And if I take that into consideration and still get it wrong, I know some people are just fucking up left and right. So that makes me feel a little bit better. And I'll give you an example. And it bothered me a little bit more, and I've kind of come to terms with it. I haven't decided what I'm going to do about it, if anything, but I've kind of come to terms with it. I'm not afraid of admitting my mistakes. I am quite human, unfortunately. But I have some tanks that I did they're some of my favorite tanks. The Sherman's and Company for Northwest Europe. The Plastic Soldier Company M4A4s. And is this where it needs to be? Or is it a little high? No, it's where it needs to be. Plastic Soldier Company M4A4s, and a Firefly that I have by Britannia. Those are repainted. A Firefly by Matchbox that is a refurb, and an old Frontline M4A4 as well. I've got those 6 tanks that I painted up earlier this year. And there's a particular scenario in the rules, in the expansion of the Face of Battle for, it's called Victoria Cross, for the Brits. That adds the Brits into the mix with their data and stuff like that. Special rules like bagpiper, that kind of stuff. And there's a scenario that has just Panthers and Shermans. And it's based on a historical incident with the Panzer Panthers getting caught with their pants down by 8th Armored Brigade, which was an independent armored brigade that was Sherman equipped in Normandy in June of 44 after Sword Beach. It's over on the west side of the British invasion beaches. So I looked into it, and I wanted to get some British Shermans at the time, and this engagement seemed reasonable to try out the vehicle rules, which I'm pretty comfortable with after doing just that one-on-one engagement. Although I need to change I'm going to make my own sheets where the vehicle information is displayed, because it has a lot of wasted space on an 8.5. You don't need an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper just for each vehicle. That's a little excessive. There's a lot of blank space there and stuff that's not needed. So I'm like, I'm going to paint up the stuff for this scenario, right? So I do the research on this 8th Armored Brigade, which at the time I didn't know anything about, because focused mainly on armored divisions, not the independent brigades. So I found out about this armored brigade, got the decals, what unit of service markings they're going to have. Went in there, consulted them, looked at, okay, the senior unit is this, the junior regiment, the senior regiment is this, the junior regiment is this, the motor regiment is this. Okay, so it should have this placard with these numbers on them and stuff like that. Ordered all the decals, and I forget who the hell it was from. Alaran, I think it was Alaran, something like that. Put them on there, figured out what company they would be, put in the markings for the company. Kind of did some research. I love doing that kind of stuff. But it takes time. It takes time, and it takes not being interrupted, every 5 minutes. And sometimes you're like, okay, this is a task that I need like some peace and quiet for a while, right? So do one of those deep dives. So did all that stuff. Looked everywhere, because I don't want to get like the wrong Shermans or the wrong symbols or stuff like that. Lay it all out, paint them. They came out stellar. Absolutely happy with them. The British green that came out is just gorgeous. Turned out really well. Went from, never painting a British Northwest Europe vehicle to the first time I tried it, just knocked it out of the park. Really happy with how it turned out. But I do a lot of looking at other people's examples. Maybe I'll use that color. What color do they recommend here? I don't know about that. Doing a lot of tinkering behind the scenes. I don't want to spend 4 or 5 hours on something and not be happy with it. So I'm happy with it, right? Put the decals on them. Great. Not 1 week goes by. About 1 week goes by after I'm done with them, and I come across new research that shows that this particular there was another decal company that I never even heard of before at that time. It's called District Miniatures. They make a specific set for the 8th Armored Brigade. They have it mislabeled on their site. They call it 8th Armored Division. It's 8th Armored Brigade for that. And apparently the unit of service markings for the 8th Armored Brigade was a 3-digit series with their little logo on it or whatever. And I've seen this in different ones before. I just never saw it for 8th Armored Brigade. So you'd have, 775 in red on a white back, red with white lettering, and they might have a little symbol up here that ties into the Armored Brigade marking. So I'm like, fuck. Now I've got, and I start looking at another site, and yep, that's the also correlates for that. So then I look at another thing, and I'm like, shit. 8th Armored Brigade didn't have M4A4s, they had M4A2s. They had Sherman 3s, not Sherman 5s. So I'm like, all right, well, here's what I'm going to do. Wherever I get fed up with it, I'll end up changing them to another different unit, and then I'll buy Sherman 3s if it bothers me that much. Because what happened is, I went exactly with that scenario in the face of battle actually says to use Sherman 5s. So I just, you're making a scenario book. You're making a scenario for that's very specific, for a very specific game. I just assumed that the person knew what they were talking about. Well, you know what happens when you assume? You make an ass out of you and me. So, it's not a big deal. It's just kind of frustrating, especially since I'm super anal retentive about. There's some things I don't care that much about, okay, if you have a Matilda and it doesn't have the right number of rivets in different places, I don't give a shit about that, right? Because you could get one that has the right model, but somehow the guy decided not to put them on there. Or you get this carrier and there's a piece of flash and you can't see the rivets. You can't give a shit about everything, So it's just annoying that it was something that I actually cared about and still got it wrong. So yeah, we're going to continue making mistakes, unfortunately, but I have a solution how to fix it. So we'll see. Well, you can come on down to my channel. We can make mistakes together. Let's get some British uniform out here. See if I can find it. Flat Earth would work in a pinch. We're going to dial it up anyways. We know we're going to use that as a base. At least we're going to use it as a base on this color. This looks like a British uniform. It's got a little bit of green in it. Oh, English uniform. Excuse me. English, British, whatever. Same thing. I say one thing and mean the other. Okay, and is my phone finally finished updating? Also known as my other computer. Oh, you sent me something. I'm a rising fan badge for engaging. I made one post on a news channel. Oh yeah, I was gonna get these guys, but at some point you have to enjoy what you have. I'm starting to feel the pressure of getting pulled into too many different things. But yes, those are definitely in the to-do list. Well, so here's the thing about the desert. You saw the play area I had. I know you watched that video. Jeffrey, I don't know if you're on, but I'm talking to you. You can watch later. You do. Um, and what is it? 42. What's that a play area? Um, the center island. It's 42 inches by like 108. So it's damn near 4 by 8. I mean, it's shorter on the sides, but it's longer on the length. So it'll work close enough. And a lot of the battles in those books are 4 by 8, even though they're compressed to some degree, I'm sure. But and I'm surprised nobody made a comment about it. And honestly, after I was playing it for a while, it didn't bug me. But I've got the two mats that are temperate. They're green that I played with when we did that Panzerjäger and the BT-7 showdown. Those are the ones from Tiny War Games UK, which I was dissatisfied with the production quality of them. Well, it was damaged product. The production quality on them are awesome. The problem is that I got them that were damaged product. Anyhow, that was the one that I got in the replacement that he sent me, which wasn't the exact same mat. I think the one that I got they weren't making that design anymore. And it's a shame because that one is probably the most beautiful mat I've ever seen in my entire life. Even though it was damaged. The one that I usually take pictures with on the bottom, it's just absolutely perfect. It's got little rocks and stuff. It's beautiful. But I overlapped them one on top of each other. There's a slight color difference. Well, the guy's not well, or he's old, or he's got too much going on, or whatever. It took him a year to get that resolved. But I just let it go. And I was telling me, you need to replace the mats. I got a desert one, which is okay, but the temperate one's not. And I showed him pictures, and he went round and round like he sent me stuff, and he supposedly sent me things, and I never got anything. So I finally got the replacement mats. He sent me a desert one as well. I didn't need a desert one. The desert one was fine. But he sent me another desert one of the same one that I had. Well, the advantage is that, now instead of having 4 by 6, now I could technically do 8 by 6 or 4 by 12. So I've got the desert coverings to do that whole thing completely, and it'll all be the same color. So I'm like, let's do the desert. Let's do some desert stuff. I've always liked the desert stuff. The desert in like Barbarossa, where the Germans are in gray. So German tanks in gray in Russia, and the desert are my two favorite theaters by far. The only problem with the desert is that the infantry availability or their usefulness in scenarios is kind of limited if there's not other enemy infantry. And there's some of these scenarios from that scenario book that's like, you got a squad of Germans and no British infantry. So unless you knock out like a cruiser tank and they're bailing out with those crew members, and these Afrika Korps decide to pick at the crew members, they don't have anything to do. You got one sprue of crew and one German, one on eBay. Tend to go for single sprues to get what I need these days. I should look at that and see if they have them individually. But I can't buy them from anybody in England. The shipping is just... Is Trump going to fix that? Remember 10 years ago? Well, you don't remember 10 years ago, and not because you don't remember 10 years ago, but you're on the other end of the spectrum. People here in the United States would complain about getting things from the United Kingdom because of the exchange rate. Look, the exchange rate's been what it's always been forever, okay? It costs us about 20% more. So an item that, but we pay 40% less in taxes from our income. Anyway, it's almost the same, right? And the shipping from the UK, honestly, has always been great. I've never had a problem with. I've said it before. UK vendors do a better job at getting merchandise into my hands than people in this lazy country. They just, there's exceptions to the rule, but the UK post is just absolutely fine. And I know we've talked about this before. The last since COVID, the prices are just stupid. They just went up. The shipping prices are stupid. Hell, the domestic shipping prices are stupid. So, and I swear, the postal guy, every postal person I ever have is like a freaking bona fide dick. I've gotten things, and this thing was jammed in there in my box. Like I thought it was going to be damaged. I mean, it took both hands to pull it out of my mailbox. I don't like postal people. Sorry. You buy from the UK now. 20% tariffs on the way. Well, we'll see. What I would do is I'd put tariffs on people that are like evil, and people that are not evil, no tariffs. Like our cousin countries, we shouldn't have any tariffs on each other. We're all on the same team, you know. But we'll see. Right. So, in my effort of doing research, I'm going to go and see what colors the authorities supposedly recommend to paint a desert rat guy in. That doesn't mean I'm going to go with that, but, and since we have all the Vallejo colors, that's not an issue. And, you know, I modify them with, you know, adding bits here and bits there, you know, modifying them a little bit. Yeah, I don't know how many transactions I've had on eBay, probably in the neighborhood of thousands. Because, and you can't just look at my rating because I bought from people multiple times and sold to them multiple times. When I got rid of some other stuff. Maybe, let me not exaggerate and say 700. And only 2 have I had a bad interaction with. So, I'm pretty confident with eBay. eBay and buying things through using PayPal, I'm double protected. I'm not going to order things from Temu and giving those nefarious people my credit card information. That just, you know, I don't need stuff that bad. And I also don't want to buy knockoff figures. You know, I don't want to be, you know, there's all kinds of people that are knocking off AB miniature stuff. I see it all the time, like resin and they're not really cheap. It's like, so I could buy the AB figures, or I could buy these resin knockoffs from the Orient. You allowed to say that? I am. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's over there. And with their knockoff models, you know, I don't want to do that. If I look at, you know, if I buy them by accident, what am I supposed to do? But I know people that, you know, that go and, oh, they want to buy the $3 item. I'm like, you're supporting nefariousness. You're supporting nefariousness. Okay, so we're going to go, the first place we're going to go look at is Vallejo paint sets. Vallejo, British, desert, colors. Okay, and I want the ones, specifically the ones that have armor and infantry. Okay, and I'm going to take a little pad. Doing this kind of stuff also keeps me awake. And you guys don't care what I say. You just sit here listening to me babble. Okay, so this little set here, which is the Amazon page. So hopefully they show a picture of the back side. And they don't. Dark sand, Iraqi sand, green, brown, yellow, green, khaki, stone gray. So I'm actually going to go ahead and we're going to call them desert rats, even though they're not necessarily 8th Armored Division. I mean, 7th Armored Division. It's probably dark sand and Iraqi sand is the 2 colors that it is. I've looked at this picture before. I believe that's what it is. And by the way, I'm very happy with these. With the AK. And they thinned great with their thinner. So no problem. You can't use them straight out of the bottle. It's like silly string. Like, it just doesn't work at all. Here it is. Here's the back of the. Here's the back of this dude. Okay, so this is suggestions here. British vehicle dark sand. Yeah, that's one of the lightning lightening colors. British uniform highlight Iraqi sand. What's the base color? British uniform base khaki. All right. So, according to Vallejo, uniform base. I may try this and see if I like it. Uniform base khaki. Uniform highlight. Iraqi sand. Webbing stone gray. Okay, khaki is 980. I can barely read that. Let me go to the other pictures. 980 something or another. So if I go to this first one, this one actually shows the paints. Oh, and here it only has 5 sets. You know, they make so many sets it makes your freaking head hurt. They don't discontinue other things. Yeah, this World War II Desert British and German armor and infantry has 6 paints. But then if you go down here, here's another one that they make. The Vallejo World War model color World War II British and German has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paints, and they're different. Okay, well, I thought I was actually going to use dark sand as a base. Okay, then we're going to go to Flames of War site and see what they say. Oh, they're promoting. Yes, we're not going to worry about the Africore because the Africore are all over the place. I got a lot of freedom with the Africore. I feel like I have a lot more freedom with the Africore. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and do a search for, and of course, I'm taking everything with a grain of salt. Um, Painting, British Desert. I'll go ahead and add 8th Army. Okay, so this one, oh, this is a 172scale.com. I didn't know that. I've never been to that site. They're using khaki as the base. I've seen some people that use like a, here's one. Oh, this is the, yeah, see, I like this. I know this is just AI stuff, but I like that the shorts are a different color than the shirt. So it looks like here they did like a khaki shirt, and the shorts are more like a dark sand, base. You know, we're not going to paint them uniform the same color. We're going to layer all that stuff in there. That's a cool artwork. Got that German commander, looks like Rutger Hauer. Guy with a cap. Rutger Hauer looking dude. Okay, let's just take it one step at a time. All we care about right now is the uniform. So let's pull out some of these colors. All right, because I'm ultimately going to end up making my own decision. And I'm painting enough different guys. They don't all need to be exactly the same color. So let's get, what do we have here? Who's this? Dark sand. Yep, you're one of them. British uniform. Yep. The khaki's going to be a bitch to find. Because there's a lot of colors that look almost the same. What color is this? This is skeleton bone. I'm going to pull it out here, even though I'm not a fan really of Army Painter. Their stuff's weird. What color is this? Stone. No. What's this? Middle stone. Back in the day, there used to be a color called Middle Stone by Poly S Flocal. And that was the official color that you, back in the day, back in the late 80s, that you would paint your British armor in. It was called Middle Stone. Had a lot less green than this. You know what? I'm gonna put Middle Stone out here, because these are all similar type colors. Japanese uniform, nope. Khaki, 988. Okay, here's that one. What's the other one that they said? Iraqi sand. Iraqi sand's gonna be a little too washed out looking for me, especially because I modify them. I'm gonna put buff out here as well. And this is Iraqi sand. Okay. All right, so we've got some variety of different things. The helmet is the one thing that's really kind of wacky. I've seen some people actually recommend using, well, I'm probably going to do a variation of them because I've seen them in like a sand color, and I've seen them, some of them, in using actually like brown violet. You know, these guys look pretty darn cool, even though it's Africa. I'm not going to show you that. It's got a swastika in the. It's called DAC. What is it? North Africa, 1941 to 43. But yet it's got British folks on there. Top of that page has a crooked spider on it. I don't want to go there. Doesn't offend me. Doesn't offend all my viewers. Here they are wearing like a brown violet helmet. Some, for variety, I think I'm going to do this guy with a brown violet helmet. Okay? Well, like they say, get on with it. All right. Let's get some, that's going to be for the face. That's going to be for that. We'll pull this one out too. And probably this one. All right. We're going to need our friends black and white. And I need to not put anything underneath that. If I fumble something and it breaks the barrel, I'm going to be really disappointed. Good morning, Ben. I need somebody to go brew me some tea. I have these guys with, except I don't like cold tea. I don't like warm tea. I don't like warm coffee. I'm not having warm coffee. Okay, so if the helmet is going to be dark, we want the shirt lighter than the shorts are going to be. Okay, and on this first installment, what is the khaki, huh? Let's do the shorts in khaki. That's usually what I do first is pants. I normally do pants, chest, not chest pants. Boy, you're not really wanting to mix very well, are you? I can still see some of that green in there. Let's. Uh-oh. What? No, oh, there they are. Way over there. I have a roll of paper towels I keep in here, and then they get confiscated for kitchen use. Instead of going in the garage, they just take mine. It's only happened 10 times or so. I'm gonna get one of these mixing balls in here. Well, now that I've got some Africa Corps vehicles as well, I can firmly say that I really like the way the British, the Italians, and the Germans have looked. Bloop. People have ended up on the 6 o'clock news for less. For doing what? What did I do? Oh, taking the paper towels. You know, I don't watch the news, and other than election night, I don't remember the last time I sat in front of the television. All right, so this is khaki. And let's get black out here. And put white up here next to it. See if we can get away with doing something with this larger brush. So if I can't use it on the main color, then what the heck can I use it on? Not much, and it's already hot. There's no air movement. I'm gonna take some of this khaki and add a tiny little bit of black to it. That's too light. Well, he's got a belt. Technically, there should be some belt loops on the shorts, right? You can't just wear a belt and not have the belt loops on the shorts. Hey, I wear clothes. I know how it works. course, the part I'm really looking forward to is painting the face. It's gonna bring this guy alive. I think we're gonna make this guy Waddington. The guy with a pistol. Where's that cool dude with a pistol? Something like that. This is such a cool figure. I guess he'd be like well, he's definitely a commissioned officer. Probably something like a lieutenant. Anything over that's not really useful in a skirmish game unless you've got like an assassination mission, you know? Saving Colonel Collins or something like that, you know, like. All right, well, that was useful for that big paintbrush. Now we got to put that thing away. It's too big waving that thing around. Let's go to this one here. And we're going to take the same mix, except we're going to add more of this khaki color. Not in the screen? Yeah, the light's not in the screen. Good. I needed a little bit more light than that. Yeah, like I was saying, I'm surprised how many people watched the unboxing video. I thought people didn't really care for it. Maybe it is people like 88s. I don't know. You got a couple more I can make. I just haven't really made them because they haven't really been much of an impact. Now you say that wasn't there like a platoon. Now you say that wasn't there only like a platoon with Mussolini when he got oh, platoon's a lot of guys on the table for this. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about Mussolini. He's definitely a nice fucking guy compared to the other two dictators. And Mussolini was not a nice guy, but he's like a fucking angel compared to Hitler and Stalin. And not even close. Didn't Scorzeni, wasn't Scorzeni the one that went and captured him? That, rescued him? Sorry, rescued him. But then he was still found by. What if that would have happened to Hitler? If Hitler would have gone out of the bunker, would they have the people would have gone in the town would have been like, here he is, here's that rat bastard, and hung him. I wonder if they would have done that. And always make an excuse for some high-ranking chap to show up. Remember that movie? Did you ever see it? I've seen the original Dirty Dozen one time. Don't remember anything about it. But the second one I've actually seen a couple times, and I haven't seen it in a long time also. But it was on TV. The only thing I remember about it was that whole thing that you could either shoot this. You're on this mission to kill this SS guy, which of course was, I think he was probably named Dietrich, like every freaking German's named Dietrich. Dietrich or Steiner, every German's got those two last names. Played by the guy who played the German commander in Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'm pretty sure that was him. Whatever his name is, Wolf. God, what's his name? Who looks like a German commander? I don't know. There's a lot of, there's this idea that German commanders look a certain way. Not everybody, but the whole pompous dickhead German commander. Wolf Kalmer, whatever his name is. Anyhow, there was that whole scene where it's like, they could either shoot Hitler or shoot the Dietrich guy. They ended up shooting Dietrich. Oh, sorry, spoiler. The movie came out in 1985, And that's the only thing I remember about it. Yeah, you could have look, I got a little staff car here. It's like perfect for having some high-ranking dude, and that's a good thing for like a partisan mission. Like, kill the Nazi pig. You got that T-shirt that's floating around on the internet you can buy. It says Nazis suck or something like that. I want one that says Nazis suck and commies do too. Because the people that put Nazis suck on things are always a bunch of commies. Now, commies also suck. Have I seen that picture the Allies put out of Hitler with different disguises? No. But they make a Hitler figure. One of the plastic soldier company makes like a frail, like Hitler. Remember that newsreel where he's putting the little medals on the little Panzer guys, they're like Hitler youth, and like they must be like 17 years old or whatever, and he's like petting them on the head and stuff like that. He's all frail, and although technically Hitler was probably frail all the time, but extra frail. They make a little like trench coat, giving his little salute thing, little figure. I forget who the heck makes it. Streltsy or somebody. You can see it on Plastic Soldier Company, but I've got a set of German generals that made by this company called Audemars. And it's stupid that they only make German generals. Like, really? It'd be nice to have like a Patton figure, right? Or a Monty or, other people, that you could, recognize who they were by what they look like. And it's this set of like 24 figures, and you could recognize probably half of them. And the other one's like, who's that guy? That's so-and-so. Never heard of her. Never heard of this person. You can make out who the Rommel is. They all have the same face, unfortunately, so it doesn't really look like Rommel. The Manstein figure is pretty close, and I think I actually started painting him somewhere. I was just going to make assassinate the Manstein figure and do some of those Soviets that have that amoeba camouflage that come in there and infiltrate it, and you got to take out that leader kind of thing. But no, I have not seen the picture the Allies put out of Hitler with different disguises. Is one of them with that silly mustache shaved? You silly ass mustache asshole. Yeah, Nazis suck, and so do commies. Oh, this is gonna be good. But I've always liked the desert. And we're not painting all the guys this way. There's gonna be variations in uniform colors. You know, slightly. Just by me custom making it like this, you know, you invariably have that happening whether you want to or not. So far, so good. And just a little bit of white with the last one. Okay. Sent me the pics. Okay. Send me the pics. What do we got? Facebook Messenger is the best for stuff like this. Well, I guess the second one is the Mussolini version. Yeah, this is 1940s Photoshop. I'd never seen this before. They missed the glasses but no facial hair look. That's probably the one you'd want to do if you were the... Oh, here's another one. Oh, there it is. Would you know Der Fuhrer's face if he settled in Western Canada? Hitler al natural, maybe a chef. He'd be a terrible cook, wouldn't he? What would Hitler actually be good at? You know what he was the best at? A painter. And people want to rip on him being a fucking painter, but he was a better painter than a dictator. A hobo. Yeah, he should just stay a painter. He would have been a better painter. And Picasso probably would have made a better dictator. God, I hate Picasso. God. All right. What am I going to do for the? What am I going to do for the? Ooh, let's take care of this. Let's take care of this before we go any further. What am I going to do for this shirt? Let's do a different base. Let's do a different base for the shirt. We're going to use, let's look at this. Let's look at this lad that's in the turret. Yep, that's what we're going to do. We're going to use English uniform for the base of this guy, for his shirt. And then we're gonna paint him like we did that guy. So what do you guys think? A 2-pounder crew in the desert. You think they could handle having long pants and long sleeves? Because a couple of manufacturers, their crew had that. and that way, if I get a couple of those Vesda 2-pounders, I don't have to buy a cruise for them. You know, I could supplement it with like, you know, this dude with the binoculars is one of them, because we only have a 2-man crew, and I think a 2-pounder really should have 3 guys at least. This guy's gonna look stellar. I hope so. You want him to look good. And let's get dark sand out here. That's what we use, just the lightener. And just so you guys know, since we're talking about the desert, I'm not a Rommel fan. What do you mean by that is, I don't think he was all that in a bag of chips. I think he was awfully risk taker-y. I don't think he was a piece of shit. I think he just took too many risks. And the British were slow to react at times, not all the time, at times. I'll be right back. I need to take some Advil. It can get a bit chilly in the desert at times. Maybe they'd wear pants near the coastal areas where there might be mosquitoes. Mm. Well, you know, the funny thing is that because the set that comes with the crew for this Vesda are definitely BEF guys, right? But I got no interest in BEF stuff, which is kind of a shame because the camouflage, the way that they painted the BEF tanks is fucking gorgeous. I love the two-tone green. It's just really beautiful. And besides, it was like First Armored Division, right? The Rhino. I love the Rhino. The Rhino is a great symbol. So it's got all that going for it. But hell, they were only in action for like a couple of weeks, and then it was like, sorry about that, time to leave. Right? Like 2 weeks or something like that. So, you know, I'd do BEF before I do like an army of Danes, you know, because that's only 6 hours. But it's just kind of a bummer. You know, I'm not really interested in doing that. So, you know, they're going to go to the desert. And Simon Soldiers makes a set of their 2 pounder crew, and they have long pants and long shirts. So um, I may just use them, and I can always supplement them with like a figure like this who is wearing shorts and long, and long sleeves. You know, I mean, I personally try to wear shorts any chance I get. Um, I actually like wearing long sleeves and shorts. Like if I go bike riding, it's probably what I want to wear today because it keeps the sun off of you and stuff. But I like wearing shorts any chance I get. It just lightens the load. So, um, mosquitoes are all up your ass no matter what. There's a couple of actions I was reading about in North Africa. They'd run into like some armored cars or something like that, get stuck in a salt marsh, and they find out about them, so they go and destroy them. So, try to go destroy them. All right. I'm not so sure this is going to work, but we're going to follow through with it. And if not, we'll repaint it. But it looked good on that commander, so I don't know why this wouldn't look good. Just trust the, how's the saying go? Trust the process. Yeah, I got a little bit of a twinge of a headache, which is unusual for me to get one. I don't usually get one. Now, let's see if we can make out of what's going on with his chest here. At what point is his shirt unbuttoned? I think it's up to this point here. Nah, we're punting. We're punting. I'm going to lighten this up with a different color, but we're going to start with this khaki base. Yeah, not a Rommel lover. Not a Rommel worshiper. He's not all that in a bag of chips. Which also means I'm not a Monty hater. interesting. This guy has the straps on the X straps, but they don't go into the front. They like disappear. Well, we're gonna have to paint them like they're somewhere. Straps just don't disappear. Now, see what an end result like this looks like. Yeah. Man. I had one guy that I knew that swore the best thing for a headache is go out for a run. I'm like, you're a sadist. You are a sadist. I will do no such thing. This is going to look like a similar color, but we're going to vary from the base on the next one. But yeah, the British symbols, like I said, I'd say the Germans had really cool like symbols and stuff for like their divisions. The British ones are better. They really are. They're more colorful, you know. Because exercise releases endorphins, which each ease pain. I'm not going out for a run, man, when my head's pounding. I'll just curl myself into a little ball and suffer, and pinch this part. That actually works. But I think you just create so much pain here that you don't worry about this pain, not the headache. You need to trust the science. I trust this process. I'm not a science guy. I was on the phone with people at work the other day, and they were trying to figure something end of the month that came up, and they said, well, did you accrue? We accrued for this. And I'm like, all right, I'm not stupid, okay? But I'm not an accountant, so I don't know your lingo. So does that mean money owed, accounted for? Yeah, we'll just call it that, not accrued. Debit, credit. Yeah, I know what the concept is. I just don't know what the nomenclature. I said, I don't know those words, and you guys don't know how to read a map. It's annoying when people complicate things more than they should. Accounts receivable, accounts payable. How about it's money we owed, money we owe, money it's owed to us. That's what it should be called, right? We don't need Algebra 2 lingo, just Algebra 1 is good enough. I understand the concept. Yeah. They know that, but they don't know which way north is. Okay, now we're going to take more of this dark sand and lighten it up with that. So they're going to start deviating the colors a little bit. They don't have to be dramatically different. They just need to look like, they faded differently, or you bought them from. I need some shorts. Here you go. What about a shirt? Oh, you got to go over there. And the over there place was, they got theirs from a different supplier. So it looks slightly different. This is a very hostile environment. Like, heck, just the shading and stuff, or lack of shade, just the sun, just big stuff. I've got shirts that, after a while, they look like they're a totally different color, just from the sun doing its number on them. And then we're going to bring it up again with more of this. Of course, we're not going to be able to see what this looks like for sure until we've sealed it. Because the little bits of shiny that these colors have really kind of distract you from seeing what things look like for real. See if I can get away with using this straight. The 2-pounder crew could be wearing long trousers during October to February when it's cooler in the desert. Well, I think I'm going to go with that. Because I need 2 of them, right? I need 2-pounders, gun crew, for those scenarios. I just use those scenarios as a base to build from. You don't have to be strictly what it is. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. I feel like I need to do the flesh now to kind of, I got to do the rifle before I do the flesh. So Enfields I know they're very loud. Enfields are relatively dark colored, aren't they? Let's look at. No, I like the way this. I like the way these guys are represented. I think that's a pretty good. Oh, this guy's got the little collar, the little tabs for the 50th Infantry Division. He's got a wristwatch. Well, we're not going to put wristwatches on our troops. Sorry. All right, let's. What color is this? Parasite brown. I'm going to start with this. Obviously, we're not going to end with this color, but this has some red in it. Let's try this. The Yeho game color. I don't like this little notchy thing on the bottom. I really liked using that Games Workshop color for the rifles. And then the this color from Cote d'Armes, the wood brown. I really like the wood brown. It's still alive? Oh, it's alive. And that's really similar to this. We're gonna go with the Parasite brown. You know, it's gonna get dark in here anyway, so. Now, where is the this rifle has a lot of the barrel covered under wood. A lot. Just the tip is showing. And just a little bit of part where this receiver is. You used to be able to get an Enfield for relatively inexpensive here in the United States. But then you'd see some of them, they were just beat up. It's just sad to see a rifle all beat up. You know, the wood on it just like it's been, you know, trashed. But it fires 2 strippers, right? It's got 2 5-round stripper clips in there. Its magazine holds 10. That's twice as many as the Mauser. You'd think that'd be an advantage. Okay, now we can paint the fleshy bits. So let's get our fleshy colors. Sunny skin tone. If there's somewhere you need sunny skin tone, it's here. Where is she? Is it this? This is the old one. They still leave it out here. Now here it is. That wasn't the right color. That was probably flat flesh. Scunny skin tone, as I like to call it. Sunny skin tone. I know it's more efficient to paint more than one figure at a time, but I'm just getting my feet wet. I prefer to paint them by the each. It's like, look, I got, Bob done. I got Frank done, whatever. All right, let's get our blend going. Black and red leather. Let's not forget the shorts. I didn't realize that the socks are actually two pairs of socks. You got one that's the darker one, and then you got another one that's a lighter colored one. And it goes in the boot. Makes sense to have double cushion. I wonder how those shoes held up in the desert. Probably not really well. They'd probably dry rot like a mother. I'm gonna get some water. My daughter's here. I wonder if we should watch Rogue Heroes. We only watched one episode of it and didn't get caught by it. We should probably watch that. Marcus gave me some SAS guys, which honestly I get I get SAS and Long Range Desert Group mixed up. Raid on Rommel. I got a Rommel figure. Doesn't really look like him, but that Matchbox Rommel figure looks more like Rommel than the other guy. All right. I'm trying not to get bogged down by buying other stuff. As much as I want to correct that Matilda, and I think I know how I'm going to do it, I just don't want to get bogged down in getting more vehicles. Like I haven't even finished the ones that I got. I'm close, but let's finish those up, and then we'll go from there. The 88 was just kind of like a fluke. Like, oh, $13? Like, okay, I'll buy that. I'm not opposed to buying stuff. I just want to use the stuff that I've already bought. You gotta put some restrictions on yourself. Like, you end up like that guy that can't even get into his hobby room because he's got shit all over the walls, you know? This might take a little longer to paint than most white metal figures, only because there's actually a lot of detail on here, but it's not very deep. I'm surprised by some people. So many people are surprised that I have names on the individual figures. Like, it makes sense. You have to label them somehow, so you might as well give them a last name instead of just put an arbitrary. Oh, it's figure 203. Like, you know, I want to be able to. I can put a face on a name. I can't put a face on a serial number. You know. That's why I did it. Then you start becoming kind of a reputation from the get-go. Oh, that's so-and-so. That's the guy that, you know, always misses when he throws a grenade. Or what have you. Have you got a list of names for your AK figures or Africa Core figures? I do. Well, I have a lot of German names already pre-printed. Why, are you looking for somebody in particular? This guy looks like a Tomlinson or something like that. Of course, I have British names already picked out, so we'll probably go from that. I think I got British names picked out. We're getting there. We got a little bit. Let's show you kind of a recap picture. We still got a little way to go. I think I'm going to be really happy with them. As long as the paint stays on there, as long as it doesn't like crack off. Let's do the back side. I got this thing on really zoom. But I got a little carrier, so I might as well make a little crew that comes out of the carrier. You know, 4 guys. We do 4 Brits before we do anybody else. You know, and then maybe do a squad of these Jerrys that are in the half track. If I ever fire the wheels to the front of it, they're somewhere. If not, I'll just paint another half track, also Africa Core. I don't know. Let's see. Let me show you a picture of this. This lad. Look at his shorts. Freaking great. His flesh isn't all the way up yet. I want to paint these so people go, those are the Airfix figures? Yep. Hey, I don't know who the hell sculpted these things, but they look great. You know, the African Core guys look great too. You know? Just wish they would have used a little less elastic in their socks. That's it. I was reading about on the drive, I've switched books, and I've gone back to the Beta Fawn book. Beta Fawn the Crusader. And it was talking about engagements they had with like A9s and M1340s. And, you know, Plastic Soldier Company does make A9s. I have to look and make sure they're the ones for the desert, but they're talking about these Italians went and defended on a hill, and they were like, instead of being like on the reverse slope, they ended up being like on the tippy top of the hill, and they got shot up by the A9s. Of course, if they catch a 47, that's a problem, you know, because a 47 will go into A9 has hardly any, which is the one. The A10's got a little bit better armor than the A9, I think. A9's got those machine gun turrets that, God, I bet those things were super loud when they moved. They probably weren't even powered. They probably like. But I like cruiser tanks. I do. The 2-pounder is just hilarious. It's like, yeah, I saw a picture of one of them like loading the turret, and it's like, here you go, here's another round. I'm kidding, but it's like this. I mean, they're freaking tiny. You know, the 37's tiny too, but you know the 37's small. I want to see what this guy looks like on the desert basing. And that's what'll get my juices flowing. That's how I paint these guys. First, desert infantry. Oh my God, they look so good. And I said, well, it's not the first things I've ever painted. Okay, it's just the first time I decided to do North Africa. Like the first DVA army did in 2004. We're like, man, that looks good. How's this your first army? I said, it's not my first figures I've ever painted. It's my first medieval stuff I've ever painted. We've been at this for a little bit. Almost all the figures that I used in those couple of battles that I did here were painted all of them were painted before I did any DVA stuff, or before I even knew what DVA was. I just refurbished the basic because their basic looked stupid, you know, but the figures actually look just fine. Anschluss War Games are taking pre-orders for the Forgotten Battles of the Desert War, June 40 to July 41. Fox killed in the open scenario book. You know what's going to happen is if I get something like that, I'll come up with better scenarios that are in the scenario book. Because you always have this idea that they have access to some kind of information I don't. I'm not sure that's the case anymore. Anschluss War Games. That's a good way to people not find yourself. That's a difficult thing to spell. I don't think I've ever spelled Anschluss before. Anschluss. War Games, and it's called what? Battles of the Desert War. Fox killed in the open. No, I can't resist. I gotta go look at that. I gotta go look at that right now. Let's see what we got here. Anschluss War Games. Forgotten Battles in Russia. So here's an example for Operation Frontier Battles. 20 complete scenarios down for all rules escapable, especially for the war on the ground. The war on the ground is up to battalion level. So maybe one step up bigger than chain of command, huh? Well, these things, this is like scenario book should have like a PDF option because you can get them immediately, kind of thing, you know. Moves on Kiev. You know, it was funny because I was reading that book. I forgot exactly which one it was, but it was focused on like the encirclement of Kiev. Yes, that's how I say it. That's how it's been said for thousands of fucking years. Not the last 2 years, so we want to change it. Kiev. So, that encirclement, um, Stalin was doing stuff that, the stuff that Stalin did in 41 and 42 is basically the stuff that Hitler did in 43 and 45. Like meddling, like not one step backwards, and just like, creating really bad things that happened to his army just by being encircled and not having any flexibility whatsoever. Just stupid losses. Return for war on the ground set, but I have found them scenarios useful for other systems. Yeah, a lot of it is like, I think I need to cater it to the scale of game that I'm doing, which is super tactical. But it's funny that I was really surprised that that vehicle matchup ended up damn near a tie. I mean, it's pretty surprising. But you can see in 2 turns the vehicle was all the way in its face. It just depicts something totally different than other rule sets do. So there's like, for instance, one scenario that's in that scenario book for Italian misadventure and the arrival of the Africa Corps. I think that's the long-winded title that it has. The scenario is called Waltzing Matilda, and it's literally one Matilda and one squad of infantry, and they come across an Italian camp at night. And the Italians have like 3 squads and like multiple vehicles. I think they got like 2 tankettes and one of these guys and an 1139, which can't do anything to a Matilda. I think what we found out from that other scenario, the best thing an M1139 can do is just try to get up to full speed and ram the Matilda. That's like the best thing you can do. That 37 millimeter can't do anything to anywhere on the Matilda at all. If the crew's buttoned up, like, forget it. Can't do anything. And the tankette's even worse. But it's one of those, they got to get in and clean up and do whatever their objectives are and get out. But yeah, it's literally one Matilda and one infantry squad. And a lot of Italians with tents and stuff like that. Good solitaire scenario. But I didn't think the vehicles went that bad. I think I need to make my own vehicle sheets that streamlines finding the stuff. There's a lot of stuff you don't need to. It doesn't need to be in your face all the time. So. And I think anything that I'm not happy with the results, I'm more than willing to change. It's not like, well, we're stuck with this. This is how the rules are. Nope. That's those days are over with. I don't want to change stuff for the sake of changing things, but things that are obviously wrong. But I did find it rather humorous that the very first vehicle I started filling the sheet for, I immediately found an error on. So reality trumps the rule. If something is definitely different, I don't care what the rules say. Well, the rules say it only has a 2-man crew in that Panzerjäger 1. Well, bullshit. It had a 3-man crew. Okay, unless one guy's wounded. Before the 8th, the Germans had to rely on a long 50 on the Panzer III using APCR on the side armor of the Matilda. Well, they had the 88s before they had the long 50. The long 50s didn't start showing up until just before Gazala. And even at Gazala, they didn't have that very many of them. I think like the 15th Panzer Division had like 6 of them or something like that. And they had even less of the Mark IV specials. But, APCR ammo, rare as hell, on a 50 is pretty decent, The problem is by that time the British had the 6-pounder. And a 6-pounder is just a fabulous round. For the desert. Like, imagine if you had a Sherman with a 6-pounder. That'd be pretty cool. The 6-pounder penetrates more than the Sherman 75. But there aren't really any penetration issues in the desert on the Allied side against the Germans. There aren't really like the 2 pounder. People make fun of the 2 pounder being a piece of crap. The 2 pounder is plenty good, other than the fact it has no HE capability in the desert. I think they did make an HE round. They just didn't send it out to the desert. Other than that, it could penetrate all the German tanks just fine. I mean, maybe it might have some trouble with an up armored like a 3H or something like that. Or a 4E or an F1 or something like that at long range. But it was the 2 pounder is not that different than the German 50L42. So with the Matilda being the exception. But the Germans didn't have that many 88s. They had, I don't know what, in the whole early, they might not have had more than 30 of them. Yeah, the problem with the problem with the Matilda is it just they break down after. The desert's just brutal on everything. But the 88, is super nasty in the desert. But everything's within 200 yards. So, my battles in the desert are going to be like, okay, there's a sandstorm. And then when the sandstorm dies down, like, what the hell are these? What are these guys doing 200 yards away from each other, Fire! Now this thing can be hit. It's not like it's shooting 2 miles away. And you're just wondering, who's sniping this kind of thing, They're not, what's the modern term of it? Base camping you. 88's on the other side of the battlefield, basically no, not base camping you. What's it called when you're killing the you go back to their base and kill the people at their base or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. It's basically they're doing that. They're almost cheating. Basically, taking no risks and getting kills. No, you're gonna have to take risks. You're gonna have to get out there and have people potentially shoot at you. Oh yeah, this lad's wonderful. But I've always liked the Mediterranean theater. The desert is all the naval stuff in the Mediterranean was my favorite. This guy's got a little bit of flash on his face. Not much I can do about it without turning him into the Elephant Man. So I'd rather not do that. And I don't like the color that the German tanks were painted around that Gazala period. That darker. I don't really like it. I don't really like it. But holy shit. I love this hobby. Man, I just hope this paint holds. That's all. I've been just brushing on the Vallejo matte varnish. It needs to have some flexibility in it, or we're going to lose this handiwork. But all my British tanks are going to be named, and they're not going to be named for names that are out there. So if you see, what's that one, Phantom? I won't have a Phantom. I won't have, I have a database of British vehicles, and they'll be done in the same spirit as other vehicles that exist out there. But I'm not going to take ones that actually exist, because then be like, that one wasn't painted exactly that way, or And besides, it allows me to be a little bit creative. Just like I don't want to grab like actual soldier names and grab, oh, this is so and so. You know. We're not going to paint these guys like they have a tan on. We're just going to. That's just a detail too far. You spend this amount of time painting these figures. These figures become free. Well, not to mention that these guys were gotten probably in 1982. So, okay. I think we're good that. We're going to do the helmet before we do the webbing. Headache's going away. Thank you, Jesus. We're going to do that, we're going to do the brown violet, at least on this one. Nope, that's your solid drab. I got a little bit of brown violet left. Here it is. Of course, we're going to lighten it up some. This poor thing. Let's not put too much. We got to be really stingy with this stuff. no longer made. Not that I couldn't just make up another color that's similar to it. I'm not one of those, oh, we don't make this Dunkelgelb anymore. Yeah. We can create things. Now, the undersock, or the sock that's on the bottom, is probably a similar color to this brown violet. So that's where we're going to go next. And I do the shoes last. And the reason I do the shoes last, there's a chance I could scuff them up, turning this guy around and around. So I want to minimize what I've got to do after the fact. You normally undercoat your soft plastic figures with a thin coat of PVA glue. I've heard of people doing that before. After the figures have been washed, once painted, give them another coat of PVA. Seems to make the paint more secure. Well, if this ends up going south, we'll try that. Pretty thin down, I would imagine, right? The problem with the PVA glue is that it takes a long time to dry, doesn't it? That's my only concern, is just paint coming off of them. But I've bent this little barrel and the primer hasn't come off, so that's a good, it's only accidental, like bumping it and stuff. We're not going to go in there and go, we'll have none of that. Well, that's actually maybe it's not that too dramatic of a color change. But the plastic figures I've painted, the Russian dismounted tank crew, seem to be pretty durable. I haven't gone in there and tried to scrape the paint off, but I'm not too leery of them. You think they're going to put 20% tariffs on stuff from New England? I don't know. That'd be pretty stupid. Like, it's not like we're losing all this business because of Britain making everything. Like, I'm sure you guys have the same problem too, importing everything from India and China and places like that. Actually, what comes from India? Just clothes here. And they're honestly not that bad. Bangladesh is a big... India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. A lot of clothes come from those three. Actually looks pretty good in that color. Surprisingly. Actually looks really good. It's kind of really hard to see what it looks like until you can dull coat this thing. And I gotta go to the little boy's room again. Well, I should go to the little boy's room again. I'll be right back. See if I can find this. You know what? I may not have British names because I've changed the font I print them in. And I'm not going to change back. Oh well, these Americans can double as British. Some of those are okay. It's Soviets. Germans. Germans. Soviets. French partisans. Soviets. Oh, these are my African, modern African names. We won't need those for a while. Okay, yeah, here's the only reason, that's the old writing style. You won't be using any of those. Soviets. More Soviets. Wow. That's some other Americans that could work as British. Some of them, not all of them. I got a guy here that's going to be one of my Americans. Papadopoulos. Germans. More Germans. More bloody Germans. These are modern African names. Okay. Alright. What's this guy look like? Chambers? Parker? What are the other guys? What are the two Brits that I have? The four Brits that I have. I got Phillips. I got lucky. Sharp, Duncan, Phillips, and Campbell. Yeah, he's smaller, less Games Workshop-y. Naming your Brits after dictionaries. Now, actually, you know, what I've done is I've actually pulled like Close Combat and stuff like that, and like looked at and seen what the names. These are actually all Americans. Dictionaries? What are these? A bunch of dictionary names? Dorsey. Dorsey. Is that a good British name? Okay, the undersock. That's got to be really close to this British uniform. I mean, it's a dark color. It's like a dark brown. So, I have something that I bought and I regret, and I probably, instead of regretting it, I should learn how to use it. And that is Tabletop Simulator. I got Tabletop Simulator a couple years ago, and I honestly don't know how to. You know, I could probably play Face of Battle with Tabletop Simulator. I just don't know where you'd go to get the models. Is there like a certain place you would get little tanks and stuff like that? But I'm interested in the creativity part of it, not necessarily the gameplay of it. You know, so Dorsey is more Irish, but there was a famous singer, Jerry Dorsey. Parker and Chambers. Oh, really? Huh. Yep, that's how it's spelled. Dorsey. Oh, the British undersock. Let's see here. Man, I had a bunch of stuff open, and none of it is what I wanted. And I don't know how to see on the phone. The phone's great for finding pictures. than the computer, but the computer I can look at history, and I'm sure there's a history way to do it here. I don't know how to do it. I can't be great at everything. Okay, British, 8th Army paint guide, and I want to look at images. Here it is. This is exactly the image I want. Pens, aces, canvas. Well, that doesn't help me at all. How about this one right here? Okay, so it looks like their shoes are black. Thank you. What colors are webbing going to be? Well, this uses the Humbrol colors, and I'm sorry, that's just, like, you can't paint guys like this. Okay? I don't care how useful this is, how realistic. You can't paint soldiers to look like this. You can't paint them if they're all the same color. It's going to look wrong. Even when you do it, people are going to look at you like you're lazy and you decided not to paint them different. So, you visit this. See what color codes it gives you here. Now, who knows what color code that is? Alright, I'm going to go with, I'm gonna do like the color of the, I'm gonna use like that brown violet. Of course, I'm gonna lighten it up more than the helmet. And I like the webbing in that dark color too. Obviously, lighten it up because of the helmet. We don't have to decide doing that yet. Let's do the socks on this guy. Dorsey's more Irish. What? There's no Irish. You're not allowed to do the Irish. Hey, somebody's got to have a drinking problem in this squad. Might as well be Dorsey. I singer Jerry Dorsey. Never heard of her. Have you seen Rogue Heroes? All of it? Should I bother? I probably should, just for the atmosphere. My daughter's here for the weekend, and my wife might actually be going out of town today for kind of an emergency. I'll have to find out whether she's doing that. My daughter has a lot of schoolwork to do though, so I'm gonna go for a bike ride and then maybe watch some Rogue Heroes. If it's still on. Yeah, just a little, this is the little sock that's up here. So alright, so let's go ahead and, we added some black. Let's go ahead and just do it straight. I actually like painting browns and tans a lot because there's all kinds of different variations you can have of them. Yeah, you can't paint a guy all in one the same uniform. It just doesn't look like, it looks like you took a shortcut. And do we have any new white here? Yeah, alright, let's add that to this. And then we have these like little clampy things, like a little tiny gaiter. Yes, it uses a lot of dramatic license and misrepresents. Well, you know I'm not going to learn history from it. It's just the experience. Yes, it uses a lot of dramatic license and it misrepresents Blair Patty, Maine somewhat, but it's enjoyable. We weren't captivated by one episode, but I had an opportunity to watch it. It was either that or watch the original Midway. I think we're better off watching Rogue Heroes. I think the original Midway is going to be a little bit dated. Seymour. Oh, what's this? Gurkhas? Gurkha Gurkha? Let's get a more traditional brown color for that. Let's grab this green brown's not bad. Yeah, using AC/DC in it just really turned me off. And I like AC/DC, but it doesn't belong in the 1940s. AC/DC hadn't been invented yet. Literally. Oh, we have some problem. This one has a broken head gasket. All right, we'll put your happy ass back. Green brown. We need to buy a new one of those. I believe that's one of those color suggestions for Africa Core vehicles. I tell you what, we're going to be doing them like this because I was really leery of doing them, and then I'm like, I knocked that as soon as I could find the wheels, man. I really impressed myself with how this looked. You know, when you have kind of like a low self-esteem of like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pull this off, and then you're just like, well, let me paint my way out, and then you paint your way out, and you're like, oh shit, I can't wait to do more. Yeah, that's a good feeling. It's a million steps, but it's worth it. The problem with a million steps is you gotta wait for some of them to dry. All right, we're gonna put, this is the little gaiters. The main thing is make it look like it's two different things. You can't make it look like it's all one big sock. It's got like the little canvas thing over it. Also makes it look a little bit more interesting. almost wish that if I needed the wet palette for anything, it's for the white. By the time you get around to it, you got to do a new one because it's dried out. But it takes up a whole lot of space. Not really a fan of having him consume all this. I did most of my painting without a wet palette. Oh yeah. I hope this paint's durable because I'm really enjoying these little guys. And there's a good opportunity to use up with all of the plastic figures that are available. Especially if I don't want to have more than one or two of the same figure, you've got a lot of opportunity. I do like the AB figures, but man, they're expensive. You know, and I already had these. So, you know, I'm not losing anything by using them. Alright, we're leaving the shoes. We're skipping the shoes. Alright. Webbing. Let's see what this guy did. I wouldn't mind using something that has a little bit of green in it. And I mean just a tiny little bit. And there's got to be enough contrast. Unlike these guys, these Tamiya figures are terrible. There's no contrast on them. Doesn't make you want to play them or have any creativity to them. Well, what happened to this artwork here? Let's see what Warlord Games wants you to do. Oh, this is in a foreign language. Oh, these just lack a lot of personality too. But there's a little bit of green to them. All right, I know what I'm gonna do. I know what I'm gonna do. All right. That's what we want to go with. All right, let's see what we got here. What color is this? Khaki. No. Of course, I could just add black to it, and then just before I get to this color, start tuning in the white, and that would work. So maybe that's not bad. I got two khakis. That was a mistake. Well, we won't ever have to buy that again. Green gray. Something like this. You know, it's a color similar to this tone on the counter. I'm on a beast mode. Yeah, baby. I want to see these guys. I want to see one of these chaps done. You know? No, I'm having a great time. You guys have just come in and interact with me. Come in and, you know, say an expletive and then leave or something like that. I don't know. Just put a comment. I think this will work. I'm gonna drive you guys crazy with these accents. That's not what we sound like. You're welcome. That's the whole point in playing people that aren't Americans. You could do their accents. You know? It's an opportunity. Alright, what about this water bottle? This canteen. Okay, we're going to do the straps on it the same color. I guess the inside is a little bit different. Oh yeah, these figures aren't going to paint themselves. So hopefully get to go to Europe because I've got some interesting stops to go to, but I'm holding on with bated breath. Now, this guy's got a little bayonet scabbard. What color is this? We'll be here supporting you. Do a Canadian accent. Apparently we sound American. You guys do. I love Canada. At least the part of Canada I went to. It was awesome. This is the first time I got to go to another country that was not a third world country, and it was wonderful. You know, to go to another country, it's like, you know. And before you ask, I went out to Calgary, Banff area last year. Just absolutely freaking gorgeous. We should have taken that land from you guys. It's so beautiful. Come on, it's a joke. No, you guys sound the same. I'll watch like reviews. There's a lot of war game reviewers that are from Canada. I can tell because they say about. They'll say about. Everything sounds exactly the same. It must really annoy the Brits because, like, you know, you guys lost your accent too. About. Hoose. Couple little things and little mannerism, but yeah, you guys sound the same. You guys sound the same as like a generic American accent, which I think I have a generic American accent, I guess. I mean, I get around the wrong people and it starts getting countrified a little bit, but it can recover. Where is the little scabbard on these little guys? I would love to do like, and when I'm doing these guys, okay, these Brits, I think I'm going to have my Brits double as Canadians as well. But, because I want to do some Canadian tanks. You know, because you guys can, like, trash, like, a town and then apologize for it, you know. Sorry about that. You guys say roof like rough. A rough. No, not me. That's people up north. We say roof. We don't say crick. Roof. Rough. Mitch says that. Mitch says, he does that Warshakar. He's a recovering Yankee. No, about. We say the same. A boot. It's East Coast. So you guys have your Yankees too that pronounce things differently. What part are you from? Went to Versailles, amazing experience, yeah. Saying sorry is a big thing. We just say it, yeah. Yeah, I know. You guys are super nice. That's why I said, you know, the SS had to be major dickheads to have a freaking feud with you guys. You guys are super nice. Yeah, there's assholes everywhere, but I'm just saying, you know, I came away with a very nice impression of your country. So. Why'd you say it was nice? Because it reminded me of America. And there's shitholes in this country, but I don't live in them and don't go to them either. So, you know, Ontario. Okay, is Ontario or Ontario? Ontario is that airport that's in California. Yeah. No, I really enjoyed going to your country. I can't wait to go back. And I'm okay with the metric system. Like the metric system doesn't freak me out or anything. My daughter really liked it because she could drink. You know, and I don't mean like, you know, we're going to get her trash, but she could take part in the experience, you know, and you don't have to hide it. You have a-holes. We all do. The way you say a boot sounds like a Canadian would pronounce it. Ontario. Ontario. No, seriously, I've talked about it. I'd do some. I'd probably do the infantry the same. You know, that way it can double for both. And like poles, like I'm not building any poles that aren't 1939 poles because then they just have British kit with British tanks, and sure they've got these big writings on the side of their Shermans, like go to hell Nazi or whatever, whatever they have all these names that are like huge, like the entire side of the Sherman is like this saying, and it's always something that starts with like a Z or something like that. Those the Poles like to use those underused consonants. It's like people aren't using the Z's and Y's enough. Let's and W's. Let's throw a bunch of those in there and create a bunch of work. But I don't want to do 1944 Poles because they have the same equipment as the British. Same thing, like if I'm going to do French, I'm going to do 1940 French. I'm not going to do 1944 French that look the same as, the U.S. troops, so. Oh, I know the one thing I hate about Canada. Well, there might be other things I hate about Canada. I just didn't get the experience. You guys like ketchup way too much. I hate ketchup. I think I like communists more than ketchup. God, I hate that stuff. Communists smell better. I'll be right back. If you listen to the media, the perception here in the United States is that Canadians are a certain way, and that's just not true. They're just like people here in the United States. So, vinegar. Yeah, the vinegar part of it is terrible. I like those all dressed chips though, a lot actually. Okay, so we didn't make a decision on what color the little bayonet thing is. They didn't send any Canadians to the desert, did they? I don't think they did. I don't think Canadians went to the desert. Now, they make so much stuff in 28 millimeter, and it's cool, but it's 28 millimeter. You guys don't need me doing 28 millimeter. There's all kinds of wonderful people that paint 28 millimeter stuff. You don't need me to promote the. Have you been to that hobby store in Calgary? The Century Box? Holy crap, that place was amazing. Oh, these lads look great. I don't have any desert rats that have scrim nets. Jeffrey, you told me it's called scrim, so I call them scrim nets. Well, I don't know what color they are. So I'm going to paint him a standard webbing color, which seems reasonable. This guy looks old as shit. This guy looks like MacArthur. Look at the guy next to the officer. Looks like MacArthur. All right, Mac, get a rifle. You're coming with us. We're going to go strolling out Waddy. Yeah, I'm in Calgary for a stampede. Oh yeah, that's big out there, which surprises me. Like, you guys do a lot of cowboy stuff out there? What's this? What's this? What's that? What's that? Okay. Oi! Yeah, you heard Waddy. Go back to your Waddy, Ben. There was a an action I was reading about, and it was on it's on the Audible version of that book. I don't know if I can find it right now, but that involved the Waddy. There was a British did a penetration in like early 41, I think. And the Italians had some M1340s that came up at the top of the Waddy and came after them. And they came down single file, and they of course got their ass beat, you know. Yeah, M1340s weren't that bad. It was just, you know, no radios, you know. Oi, hey. Yeah, I don't wear boots. I got my snow boots. Oh man, I love doing that. I love wearing snow boots for like a week when I was in Canada. Those were comfortable. But not cowboy boots. Or cowboy hats. No. Or plaid. I don't even do plaid. No. I looked at my wardrobe one time from like the 90s. I'm like, shit, every long sleeve shirt I have is plaid. We gotta get rid of this shit. Because I'm not a bumpkin. That's not my people. Okay, so there's that. The holster for the bayonet, which is fixed right now. All right, so these straps don't exist. They literally disappear. So we're gonna have to paint them on. Let's backtrack. Let's get a little bit of black. The rules I use are Canadian, so they have like a whole bunch of Canadian scenarios, and including a bunch of stuff at Dieppe. And I'm sorry, it just doesn't interest me at all. I just, you know, I can't be into everything, and that's one thing I choose not to be into. There we go. Now we've got non-invisible straps. Gotta go make my leaves in your front yard. Oh man. Yeah, I don't rake. These are painting hands. Most of the Canadians in Newfoundland and Nova Scotia, large Scottish diaspora there, they tend to pronounce their OUs as oohs, like their Scottish forebears. We call them winter boots. I wish I could wear them year round, man. They're really comfortable. Really, really comfortable. No leaves here. I just have a bunch of pine needles. Waiting for it to warm up a bit. Really? So we went on a hike in this canyon with a bunch of other people, and I'm like, you know, we're in a, and this is, this place was like one of our state parks, except like even nicer. It was like, concrete sidewalk here and everything. It was all civilized. It wasn't like, here's a hole in the ground, have fun, So we go on this hike in the middle. It was a night hike too, and it was all snowy one December. Yeah, we went after Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's. We spent New Year's up there, and we go on this night hike, and they give you these vision things that provide like red light and stuff like that. And after a while, you get used to it. But we're in this group, single file, like in this canyon, and in the dark. And I'm like, I told the tour guide, who she's like, I don't know, 21 years old, 22 years old, 95 pounds wet. I said, I know that the bears are hibernating, but what about wolves and something else? Like, you guys have like anything against them? Like, I knew you can't have firearms in Canada, right? But like anything. It's like, well, I never really thought about that. How do you not think about that? Like, I'm not going to the woods unarmed. I'm not a violent person, but it's like, if you or me, like all of you are going down. Sorry, dude. Sorry, Mr. Wolf. You should have minded your own business. Canada, while Ontario is USA's 52nd state. Well, you guys are not getting any representation. What's the 51st state? Yeah, I'm not going to the woods unarmed. Sorry. And it's not because of people. You could talk your way out of a situation with a person, I guess, if you have enough charisma. What are we missing? Oh, the bayonets. What color should I use for the bayonets? I want to make them bright, but not too bright. Well, we gotta finish painting it black. Some of this actually came off. Let our black dry out again. Here we go. Hawaii, no, Hawaii's 50. Hawaii's like not even part of America. I don't know. They're over there doing their own thing. They're like, you got Alaska. It's like what, a time zone or two away from California, and like Hawaii is like barely, almost like the next day. And as much as I'd like to go to Hawaii, I'd rather go to Europe. I mean, it's closer. Don't need to hide behind guns. Well, I'm not going to get eaten by a bear. Sorry. You guys conquered all that wilderness with guns too. Don't play dumb. All right. Let's do this with a little bit of white. And we're going to do the handle for this bayonet in that color. Just a little bit of just a little bit of something. Okay, and then the same thing, we're going to a magazine on the Enfield. Which you have to load from the top, I think. That's weird. By today's standards. Back in 1776. I'm talking about the 1830s, 1850s, 1870s. Like, We're going that way. Well, there's, cougars and stuff like. You go on safari to Africa. I'm not going to go unarmed. And I'm not even hunting animals. I'm just saying, there's stuff that can hurt you out there. Okay. And I'm a non-violent person. But I'm coming back alive. I got painting to do. We're going to try this. This is the darkest metallic color I have. I haven't mastered the use grays to do metal thing. I'm not there yet. I see other people do it and I kind of like it, but I'm old school. I still use a metallic color. Not all over, but just as highlights. Okay, the bolt is over on this end. And then we'll see how this looks, and we may need to brighten up the bayonet a little bit, but this might just end up doing just fine. Alright, now let's go back to the straps on the front of his equipment where we left off. We can close that back up. Okay, and I think we need to, I don't think we need to add white yet. Let's add more of this core color to it. Let's just use it straight and see if this takes us where we need to go. Sandwich Islands before they became Hawaii. Is that right? Yeah, it was part of Britain. Right, because the Hawaii flag even has a Union Jack in the corner. So, my war game room, when I lived alone in the 90s, was this room that was probably 12 by 18 or something like that. Maybe it was 12 by 20. It was a pretty big room. It was a pretty large room. And on the wall, it was like a master bedroom loft type of thing. And on the wall, I had 3 foot by 5 foot flags all the way around, all the World War II flags. So I had, a Union Jack and American 48 star flag and a rising sun and the Soviet Union flag and the crooked spider flag and a French one and a Canadian one. I didn't realize until relatively recently, here's my Canadian ignorance thing, but I didn't realize that the maple leaf flag wasn't the maple leaf flag in World War II. In World War II, you guys had that one that was predominantly blue, right? It's predominantly blue or predominantly red. Anyhow, I didn't realize that. So I have a Canadian maple leaf flag here in my collection that I'm not going to put for my flagpole. So I didn't realize that. So oops. And neither did anybody that came to War Game either. Well, we didn't have the internet back then, so we're allowed to be stupid. better excuse anyways. Okay, this webbing is, as they say in the old country, spot on. That's actually one of my favorite Britishisms. Spot on and brilliant. What else? I'm sure there's a few other ones. Mix up for the one I hate, done and dusted. Hey, I'm not the cleaning lady. Done and dusted, my lord. I was watching some of the election stuff the other day. They did election night, and one of the ladies came on here that was talking, and it was all really civilized. We actually really impressed. And this one lady came on here and said, "Well, we didn't pick so and so to rule over us," and I'm like, "Yeah, nobody's ruling over us. That's just like words you don't use here. You know, like you're not used to using that kind of stuff here, and that terminology here in the United States, like rule over somebody or bow to people. Like, you know, you don't need to be disrespectful to somebody, but we're not bowing to people here, you know. Ignorance is not an excuse. Well, you know, shit happens. James Cook named them after the sponsor of the voyage Discovery. The South Sandwich Islands is, oh yeah, they're nowhere they're nowhere near the other sandwich. That's a sandwich that's two halves of a sandwich that are really far away from each other. I'm just an ignoramus, an ignorant butthole. Ignoramus. I just assumed that you guys had your normal flag, like, but I didn't realize you guys weren't free then. I give you guys the benefit of the doubt. Oh man. Before your time, of course, is before your time. It's before my time too. I suspect that happened in the '60s. Well, other than the interior part of this water bottle, this lad's about done. Now, oh, and shoes. Um, Now, I'm going to have to clear coat them, and that'll make it look better. It always does, but I think I'm pretty happy with them. Certainly is the first one. The first of many, hopefully. Gotta go out and fight the sand Nazis. Gotta fight the Legion of the Crooked Coconut. Puerto Rico or the UK? Why would the UK be a 51st state? You don't need to bow down to us, man. We're friends. And I'm telling you, I'm going to speak for all Americans here, okay? We don't consider you guys the bad guys. I mean, I don't know that ever have, but I mean, you guys play all the villains, and you do a good job playing the villains, you know? And I mean, like Germans with an English accent type of thing, you know? We've got nothing against England. Nothing. You guys are super, we're buds, man. And same thing for the Canadians. We don't want you telling us how to run our country, and I'm sure you don't want us telling how to run your country. We just, here's an alternative. If you like the way we do things, come over here. If you like the way you do things, go over there. It's all cool, Just realize you're drinking Coke in the morning, not a coffee drinker. So here's the thing about coffee. Yes, I don't drink anything hot. Okay? So I'm a cold coffee drinker, even when I'm on a mountain and it's 2 degrees, or as you guys like to call it, 0. I don't hate metric, but metric temperature, I'm like, I can't visualize it. I like meters. I like meters a lot. My game I play in meters. Meters make sense. Temperature, not a fan, but I can do it. And since there's a Canadian here, you guys were smart enough to learn how to drive on the correct side of the road, unlike the people from the UK. And that's why the UK cannot be a 51st state, because we wouldn't put up with that shit. Okay? The only thing I dislike about Britain that I know of yet. So yeah, it's my Coke habit. I'm always drinking something while I'm playing, and I don't really drink alcohol hardly at all. As I've gotten older, and I mean in the last year, I'm drinking less and less coffee. I'm finding it almost too strong for me. I don't know. You just things change as you get older, and but it's liquid motivation for me. I actually don't like the taste of coffee. I would actually prefer English tea. But I don't drink anything hot because my internal temperature is like 211 degrees. Or, for you guys, 99.99. I'm always hot. Temperature-wise, always hot. So. Okay, what else we got on this lab? Okay, the water bottle. I saw somebody that had it in medium brown. I'm not going to do a deep dive on that. British water bottles of the Empire, We're going to get just kind of a medium brown color, maybe something like this. Keep an eye on that sugar. Oh, no. No sugar. No, I don't do sugar. No, I fall asleep, and I never drink sugar. I get angry too. Oh, I'm short-tempered with sugar. No, I'm just gonna die by chemicals. I can't resist. I gotta look at this. No, I don't drink sugary drinks, which is bad because when I do have sugar, I get a headache from it. No. All right, how about I just do a search? British 8th Army water bottle. Canteen is the correct term. Oh, there it is. Well, I don't know if this is the desert one, but... Alright, I know what color to use for that. That's not too far off. This is good. We'll mix it with... That color reminds me almost of the little... the gaiters that the Germans used late war. Almost like a felt type color. Oop. It's a nice 50 degrees Fahrenheit here. That's the great temperature. Oh, you're going to use Fahrenheit temperature? All right, you can be the 51st state. Is Scotland going to break free? Or is that like settled? You know what I dislike? I don't really dislike it. It's just kind of a missed opportunity. That the flag of England is just boring. And I don't mean the Union Jack. The Union Jack's awesome. I think the Union Jack is great. Sorry, Irish. It is. I like it. I mean, just the red cross and the white background. It's like you guys could do better. You guys could do a lot better than that. Like use the flag of your England football team. Yeah, see, look, like it's compromise. I decided to call it football just for your sake. You know, it looks awesome. That white background with the three lions en passant. You know, the laying down lions in blue. I think that looks great. That's what you should commandeer. Like, you know, make it a little bit busier. Be creative. I don't sit around all day and drink this stuff. It's just why I do my show. It just has a little bit of caffeine to just keep your brain working. I should do that. That should be my saying for my show. In a world where everybody's smoking pot, do coke. Well, this has taken a while to do, but I think it'll be worth it, which is ultimately the important thing. And I got to decide whether or not I'm going to paint that king tiger because we've got this monthly model meeting that I go to just really to be social. I don't, and they have like this. I was gonna say tournament, no, but they've got like a competition every month about theme for the event, but you don't win anything. And I'm like, I don't care if other people like my stuff or not, as long as I like my stuff. And it's like animal names coming up in not this Tuesday, but the following one. And I've got that king tiger that I actually bought from one of the members, an Eschi model, and put it together. And but I don't think I'm going to make that a priority. I'll get that done whenever I get it done. I'm really enjoying doing the stuff that I'm doing right now. Yeah, enough of the big cats. But I'm going to do it in. I'm probably going to do it in ambush scheme, and I'm probably going to overspray it with snow. And I'm going to put some pompous Nazi stooge commander in there, like my Hessler figure. Where's my Hessler figure? Here he is. This pompous Nazi stooge, probably in the turret of it. But I like the mid part of the war better than the late stuff. I really don't like the early part of the war because there's weird shit that happens there. This stuff I don't really care about. Germans running around with like white crosses on their tanks, like that's just not right. That's like, what is this? What kind of Swiss army is this? The evil Swiss army, that's the one. Okay, I think this is the color that we wanted to do right here. Okay, and then the bottle cap is going to be black. No, we don't want to take over Britain. If we took over Britain, we'd just rebuild your navy. Like your navy's too fucking small. You guys need to do something about that. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. You're off to catch you all later. Take care. Thanks for stopping by, man. Appreciate you, GB. You forgot to apologize for leaving. Sorry about that. All right, we got these little schoolboy shoes looking things that these guys wear. And I don't want to make the shoes super, super dirty. Now, this isn't a diorama. These are war game figures, and they need to have a certain sense of graphic novel look to them for me to be happy with them. All right. Now, a couple things while I'm waiting for him to dry, because it needs to dry a little bit before I go and put the other paint on top of them, the clear coat, which I apply extremely carefully, because I don't know how long we spent painting this guy. Let's say 2 hours, which is probably close. I don't want all that to go out the window. Let's find the. Oh, they should be here. Whether they're there or not is a different matter, but the magnets. And here they are. Circular heavy-duty magnet base bottoms from Litco. Let's put some magnets on the bottoms of some of these guys. Trim them up, and that'll give this guy enough time to dry. What did we decide this guy's name was? Chambers or something? Dorsey. We're going to make him a Dorsey. I don't really need these magnet bottoms because I'm not really traveling with the figures. I'm never going to run a game not here. If I'm doing all the work, then it's going to be easy on me. I'm not going to travel, pack all this shit up too, and no, we'll trim him up later. Four. Couldn't see how many viewers were on there. Yeah, and I'm gonna have a mix of helmet colors. Some of them are gonna be sand colored. Some are gonna be like this olive drab guy. So if I had another one of those guys, you make the other guy ends up having a sand colored helmet, and even if it's the same pose, they could coexist next to each other, and it doesn't look like awkward, So, I mean, I don't want 6 guys in the same pose, but that'll probably be just fine. I got that one. I got that one. Okay. And the sand Nazis now. Ooh, this is a really weird shaped base. Wow. This is a coin. It's fat over here and thin on this side. Huh. How strange. Oh, you Nazi bastard, you popped off. Are they not that good of a joint? Or just that guy was... Because I'll epoxy these things down. You dirty sand Nazi. Okay. Where is... Maybe I shouldn't be using this super glue. Let's use the other one. I got more of a use for this other one anyways, so. So the Africa core will be cool because they have lots of different uniform shades, but I'll be doing the same stuff with the 8th Army. Maybe not to such a contrasting degree, but even my Northwest Europe guys, they have some different shades there on the uniforms. If you make them both the same, it doesn't look right. It's an opportunity to add some personality to these guys. See, I'll probably, that's what I'll suggest to watch Rogue Heroes. But I do get the SAS and the Long Range Desert group mixed up. I'm not sure if the Long Range Desert group was a part of the SAS, or they're completely, or if they did different type of stuff. I don't really like the Long Range Desert group guys. They're, it's one thing to be dressed like an Arab, but I don't really like. I'm not a fan of like troops that have like full beards and stuff like that when you're talking about like either modern combat or World War II. I'm like, I'm fine if they're like native troops, but like European centric armies I prefer to be, shaven. Sorry. Just my thing. Whoops. Oh, it's the same guy with the. This guy's difficult. This guy, we're gonna send this guy to the Russian front. Troublemaker. Alright, leave you alone. You're obviously a trouble person. Person of trouble. Yes, you person of trouble, you. We gotta paint Hoffman's figure too. Man, he hasn't been here in a while. The Hoffman. Just a regular old German with an MP40. Let's give him one of those bases as well. Okay, this is the crew for the 37, the Pack 36, and the infantry gun. Man, I'm gonna need to cut off soon. I need to cut off soon because I need to go for a ride, find out what the wife is planning on doing today. I don't know if I'll be back this later today. I will be back in the morning unless something happens to me. You said you were going to be back. Well, he died. Sorry. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm not able to do it. As I like to say, I'm the first person that's upset about it. I don't like to say I'm going to do something and do something different. I make different mistakes. I don't value when people do stuff like that to me, so I try not to make believe stuff. Okay. So let's take a picture of this guy. I do want these colors to set a little bit. I don't want to do all this work and then it be, shot. But it's going to look better when it's sealed, but you guys were patient enough to look around and see what this looks like, so. Let's send you a photo. Now, remember, my photos suck. I am a terrible picture taker. I'm sure I'm better than some people, but let's put him near the carrier. It's gonna look better outside. I'm getting shadows where there really aren't any. And then the other side of them. And some of the casting on that universal carrier is wanting. Is left wanting. Really looks really happy with the look of that. So we're going to seal that lad with the matte varnish from Vallejo, but I'm going to wait for these colors to grab a little bit better, and then we'll go over that. I don't want to. I put some pressure on it, but I don't want it to like wipe them off or anything. So, all right, folks, thanks for stopping by this morning. Appreciate you as always, and we'll see you guys soon on the next one. And I'm sure we'll be back to the Western Desert. We're going to be at the Western Desert for a little while here. Okay, folks. See you later. Bye bye.